Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Coffee Break, and welcome back to the CoffeeCast Pro Cast Edition. And this is going to be the 7th game between WhiteRa, who is spawning on the top right-hand side here on Neoplanet S. His opponent, once again, going to be EmpireBeastyQT, the Terran player on the lower left-hand side, again on Neoplanet S. I really don't know much about this map, actually. I've only seen it, I saw it a couple times at MLG, but that was about it. So let's take a quick look around here. Obviously, the natural expansion, always what you're going to want to look at with maps like these, though, are going to be the third and fourth bases. Third base, a little bit of a walk a ways from the main base. Just a quick little hop by air, though, right here. But, I mean, I think it'd be weird to like reinforce the third base by medevac. So a little bit of a walk from the natural expansion, but not too far. And in fact, placing your army just kind of out around here, or even just back in here, it would be fairly easy to defend that third base. Fourth base, I think the most viable option. I don't know. I mean, I suppose up would be the closest viable option for fourth base, but as we see here, an attack path from the north, an attack path from the east, and an attack path from the south for that one. I think the best thing would be to place an army here, and then you could pop down to both the third and the fourth, or maybe split if there's multi-pronged harassment. So I think that's kind of what we're looking at here. There are gold bases in the middle of the map, which is something that we don't, I mean, we don't see too often. They are kind of coming back into play, back into maps now that the mule thing has been balanced out a little bit quite some time ago. But, you know, map makers just kind of picking back up on that little trend there. Once again, the scout for WhiteRa going to get into the base of EmpireBeastyQT and see, well, same thing as he has been seeing. Barracks, gas, everything pretty standard standard here. Will BeastyQT open it up with a Reaper for scouting? Probably, I would say. And apparently there was a little bit of lag, would be my best guess for this. We had a little TT there from WhiteRa, and then somebody leaves the game not too long after. And it looks like, nope, a Marine opening is going to be on the field for BeastyQT. I don't necessarily know, I mean, besides the obvious difference between he's making a Reaper and he's making Marine, what exactly the difference between these two builds are. I think the best thing I could guess is the fact that you're not spending the 50 gas earlier on to get that Reaper out onto the field, and so you might be able to go for a little bit quicker of a factory if you open up with a Marine rather than opening up with a Reaper. So I think that's my only guess, but no, going to be dropping the reactor anyways. Might be going for a 1 racks expand, just a little bit safer with that reactor on it. But we have been seeing EmpireBeastyQT drop this, then drop the expand up on the high ground, and immediately drop a factory starport and start getting widow mines and medevacs out onto the field. Which, I mean, I guess that would be what he's going to be going for here. We do see he's going to be dropping the command center on the high ground. Has a little bit of gas saved up, working his way towards that factory gas. In fact, really the mineral is kind of the inhibiting factor over there right now. WhiteRa doing the same thing as always. This looks like it might be kind of at least a viable opening for Protoss, is going for Stalker, Mothership Core Stalker, and pushing out across the map and doing a little bit of harassment with a little bit of Warp Gate tech. Mainly just applying a little bit of pressure to be able to get your own Nexus up. This one SCV going to miss the forward pylon for WhiteRa down on the lower right hand side, sitting at about that 5 o'clock position. First Stalker out across the map, and it's actually this game going to be back to the proxy Stargate shenanigans that we were seeing earlier on in this series. So Oracle harassment more likely than not going to be coming out of WhiteRa, and in the proxy position going to make it very, very quick for BeastyQT to or pardon me, for WhiteRa to attack BeastyQT, and rather difficult for BeastyQT to be able to scout out, as he just kind of plain flat, I mean, there's really no reason for him to check that lower right hand corner. We can see here, not really seeing anything, but he is going to be seeing the Stalker at the front with the Mothership Core. WhiteRa needs to be careful with that, because right now there obviously is only one Stalker there, trying to get an extra shot or two off on these Marines. Marines could do a lot of damage to that one Stalker. There we go, second Stalker going to be joining here, and that's going to be enough really for WhiteRa to continue pressuring this field. Well, maybe not. I don't know. He's going to continue to try whether he actually can or not. Once again, though, losing one Stalker here could be quite the big deal. One Oracle finally on the way. They're going to be getting chrono boosted out of that Stargate on the right hand corner. There we go. Very nice time warp going down on top of these Marines. One Stalker does fall. Three blood spots is there. I don't even know how many times I just said. I think there is the Widow Mine up on the high ground there. WhiteRa going to need to be careful of that. Oh my gosh, dancing on the range of that. Can't actually see it though. He has no observer over here. Fortunately for him, the Oracle does have Revelation. Is Revelation the detection ability? And come on, that's not what I wanted to do. Apparently my computer does not want to follow that right now. Revelation, no, I was thinking of Envision. That is the one that allows detection. Revelation allows the Oracle to pretty much bug. It's kind of like Parasite from Brood War, where you could see what enemy units were doing. Going to be jumping in here, getting a quick 5 kills off of those SCVs there. Going to try to engage the Marines. Oh, getting away with 4 hit points. The Oracle, I think it can take out 4 to 5 Marines without medevac support. I think that's the number it can do. I'm not certain, but there were just too many Marines there with medevac support. That was not going to be happening, but a nice little bit of harassment out of WhiteRa, going to even the tables a little bit, as BeastyQT did get that worker production, the double worker production a little bit earlier on. There, now I can follow, apparently, now that it's just kind of like randomly running around the map. So that's going to even the tables a little bit. If we come over to the workers kill tab, 6 workers. I was going to say, my goodness, I didn't think he killed that many. 6 workers killed, 5 by the Oracle, and probably the scout was killed earlier on as well. Oracle going to be trying to come back in, but this is going to get scouted out by BeastyQT very quickly. This Oracle probably not going to be able to do all that much damage, but actually, the SimCity working, oh! Brutal. SimCity going to be working against the BeastyQT here as the Marines couldn't run over to attack that. But there was a Widow Mine in that mineral line. Oh, Widow Mine actually in the mineral line of WhiteRa as well now. Medevac drop going to be coming over into WhiteRa's base. Did manage to take out that Medevac, but the Widow Mine remains. No observer over here as far as I can tell, and no Oracle coming over to help detect that. I think WhiteRa might have just missed it there. He won't be missing it for too much longer because it's a cooldown. It's just about finished. About 10 seconds left on that. WhiteRa setting himself up for, well, pretty standard build here going into the Colossus. Actually going to be moving out, and oh, here comes the Widow Mine. Where is it going to hit, folks? 2 probes. 2 probe kills for a total of 5 kills total. And now WhiteRa, oh, whoops, decides to fall back home. Still nothing to detect that with, and now his Colossus is tying up the robotics facility. So no observer going to be coming onto the field anytime soon here. Needs to figure something out with that, as he really just cannot allow that to keep sitting there and picking off workers, even though, workers are 17 seconds apiece. He's getting out 5. I'm doing really rough math, okay? Really rough math. He's getting out about 5 workers for every Widow Mine shot there. There's another shot off that Widow Mine. Finally, the observer does come over. Only got 1 kill on that last one. Widow Mine does its damage, evening up the odds, though, bringing our worker count to 41 to 37. Which instead would have been, 47 to 37. That would have been a 10 worker lead, which is a pretty big deal. So that Widow Mine definitely paying its price right there. Marines and a couple of Marauders going to be moving out across the map with a medevac as well. Looks like it might be a load up into the main base, which is kind of where these units look like they're being pathed over to. Will this be scouted, though? There is this observer somewhat in position here. And BeastyQT, for the moment at least, avoiding that observer. Nope, not for much longer. Observer going to be flying right by this WhiteRa. I think that he saw this. And no reaction, though, so apparently not. Now going to be dropping down, might be able to pick off a Colossus, trying to work its way over to the low ground, which would be a big deal. And that Colossus going to slip by unnoticed for the moment. WhiteRa actually, does he notice this? Well, he notices it now. Going to be losing 1 stalker for pretty much 2 stalkers for just a couple of shots off on a medevac. Now running backwards with these Colossus, popping the Guardian Shield, and BeastyQT is going to be forced to retreat. 3rd command center now on the way for BeastyQT. I'm going to be trying to get a little bit of a lead there. This observer going to be keeping an eye on the armies of BeastyQT, which aren't really going to be able to do too much with these 2 Colossus on the field. WhiteRa deciding not to engage that. And there we go. Now turning back around, might be trying to pick off what he can over here. And 2 shots from Colossus Fire could be a big deal. Not going to get them, though. Just 1 shot off on the forefront with a couple of Marauders there. Wasn't able to do all that much damage. Vikings already in production for BeastyQT, being the suave nerd baller that he is. He is on top of the game there. And these medevacs actually sticking around over here, trying to find an area to do a little bit of damage. Might be able to actually swing around the Protoss army here and be able to take a stab at the main base here. And that's going to be what he's doing. WhiteRa trying to establish a 3rd base, but he's going to find himself in a little bit of trouble here with these Marines and Marauders dropping down in the back of the base. But, oh, Photon Overcharge on the Nexus, going to buy him a little bit of time, taking out a Marine, almost taking out a Marauder as well, getting a nice couple of shots off with those Colossus, going to force the retreat on those medevacs. 1 very, very low on health, probably going to be dropping down over here and taking out this pylon on the probe just to be pesky. And nope, that probe not going to get away, pylon going to go down. 3rd base delayed just a little bit longer by EmpireBeastyQT, who is going to load up and split his forces. Actually, one medevac going back towards the main base, the other medevac going to be leaving and running back home. And I don't know how long. I think this photon overcharge lasts for 60 seconds, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know where the mothership core is. Here it is. So photon overcharge, it does indeed last 60 seconds there. Supply block right now, WhiteRa is, what am I, Yoda? Supply block now, WhiteRa is. And BeastyQT pretty much just going to be keeping this medevac over here for the purpose of harassment. And there we go. Now is going to get sandwiched in there by the forces of WhiteRa. He can really go nowhere. This third base needs to be dropped fairly shortly, as BeastyQT going to be taking his third base very shortly here. Going to be dropping, I think, a second armory. I think I already saw one armory on the field. Where? Okay, well, there's a second eBay, we can say for certain. There's an armory. No other armies. There are no upgrades on those Vikings quite yet. There we go. Viking now coming out onto the field. Pardon me. Lost my words there. Couple more Vikings coming out on the field. Going to bring our total Viking count up to 8. How many Colossus do we have? We have 3 Colossus. Maybe 2 or 3 more wouldn't hurt anybody. And going to continue that Viking production there. Going to be getting out the, I can only imagine, ship weapons upgraded fairly shortly as well here. Reactor going down on the factory here. Probably going to start mixing in some Hellbats into the unit composition here, which I think would actually work very well with this build, to be quite honest, just to help fry away at some of the Zealots on the ground, especially if they are going to be charge lots, which, just finishing up in 3, 2, 1, charge. I think the Hellbats would be a very good competition to go against the charge lots, going up against the front line there. Help soak up a little damage, help dish out a little bit of damage. These Templar do have Psystorm, and here comes another big engagement. Oh, a nice Psystorm going down on top of those Vikings. No goes on the field. A few stem bio forces going to be coming forward, trying to pick off a couple of the High Templar. Not going to get them, unfortunately. And 2 storms remain for our Protoss player with those 3 High Templar. BeastyQT going not to be dropping a Ghost Academy unless that's already down and I missed it. That's actually already down and I just missed it. Mobus Reactor not yet researched, though. That's going to be kind of a big point. There we go. Now coming out on the field. But really, BeastyQT, I'm going to go ahead and say that he's going to have a difficult time engaging this army until he gets the Ghost on the field, because he will not be able to EMP or snipe the High Templar, making it very difficult to storm dodge. And in the meantime, while you're storm dodging, Colossus get the free shots off. And medevac actually going to be jumping up here. A photon overcharge going down on that Nexus. A great decision making there by WhiteRa, and going to be able to repel this. And just barely not being able to get that medevac there. In the meantime, another dropship coming down into the natural expansion. 1 Colossus back to help defend a warpent of charge loss, and that's going to be defended. But in the meantime, the Vikings for BeastyQT going to be jumping forward, taking out as many Colossus as possible. 1 Colossus is going to fall. Their Colossus is actually living with only 18 health. Here comes some stem bio forces coming up around the back, going to be able to take out that Colossus. The mothership core for the moment going to live, though. But the Colossus are kind of the big selling point right now, as Ghosts are going to be coming out on the field very shortly. I can only imagine 2 Ghosts on the field. Might want a couple of more here. Dark Templar coming out for harassment purposes as well. A couple of medevacs going to be going back over to the natural expansion. Not able to do too much damage, though, once again, with the Colossus and a couple of charge lots there. Colossus make for excellent drop defense. Very expensive, but very effective drop defense with a few warped in charge lots as well. 4th base going online for WhiteRa. No 4th base quite in sight yet for Empire's BeastyQT. Once again, just going to be sticking on this barracks tech, Wings of Liberty style. Nothing wrong with that. Good to go there. And with the medevac upgrade, actually, it can be quite potent for those drop, the drop purposes. Looks like 2-2 going to be finishing up fairly shortly for our Terran player. 2-2 just about to finish up for WhiteRa. Sorry, 2-1 finished up. 3-2 now on the way. I always hate it when upgrades get kind of staggered like that. It confuses me. It looks like a 1 Marine going to be slowly picking away at this over here. Another medevac drop going to be coming up over into the 3rd base here. This medevac could be feedback. There's the feedback. That Marauder is now dead. He is a dead man, unless he could somehow manage to run away from charge loss, but I can't imagine that happening unless he manages to live with 1 hit point. There we go, turning around and finishing off my OCD by killing that Marauder off. And it looks like another Marauder going to be trying to poke over here. Maybe something in the main base, it looks like. Yeah. It looked like a medevac was trying to drop in the main base. BeastyQT being very, very map aware, I suppose I should say, knowing where WhiteRa's army is and trying to drop where it is not. But unfortunately for him, he still can't establish a 4th base, which is what WhiteRa is up on. He really can't afford to delay too much longer on that. which, oh, Dark Templar, I heard Dark Templar. Where's the Dark Templar? There it is, taking out a missile turret over here. Unfortunately, that's not going to be lasting too much longer there, and a scan going down to detect, because those Dark Templar were out of the range of this next missile turret. Not going really quite able to do all that much damage with those Dark Templar. I would even just love to see a fourth command center built somewhere. We're going into the stage called the end game, as most people like to call it here, where you're kind of past the late game. You know, you're maxed out army versus maxed out army, unless your entire army dies because you have no Viking support and your EMPs come way late. A couple of storms do go down, mostly on top of WhiteRa's own army, unfortunately, and that's going to help even the odds just a little bit there. But a great storm goes down on top of those Marauders. The Marines are generally what you want to hit with those charge lots, melting away. Not many charge lots left, but there are a couple of Colossus left in the back of the army. Not enough Vikings to help take those out, and enough charge lots to soak up damage to allow the Colossus really get the hit that they need to. Unfortunately, one of those Colossus does fall. A great storm goes down on top of that army, just decimating it. Another Colossus joins the fray, and there's the GG from Empire's BeastyQT. WhiteRa pretty much takes the cake in this series. I think BeastyQT only won 2. That is the last game I have from here. WhiteRa just dismantling his opponent for the most part here, doing some shenanigan play. Apparently I missed something going on over at the third base as well. There's the rest of the charge lots that we were missing earlier. Counter drop was going on over, just starting up over at the natural, but really not able to do all that much damage in the end. Or at least not enough to get BeastyQT back into the game. WhiteRa once again dismantling his opponent. We saw some cheeky, proxy Stargate play out of him. We saw some standard games out of him. Oh, and that was a great stretch. That was one of those stretches that makes you tired afterward. As always, leave a comment below. Click to subscribe. Is always great. I always appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments for me, just let me know. And yeah, I will try to keep doing procasts. I'm on spring break right now, so I have quite a bit more time than I usually do. We'll just see how that ends up going. We'll see if I can actually find more Heart of the Swarm replays, because apparently they're just impossible to find. They don't exist. I swear, it's ridiculous. Until next time, folks. This is Coffee Break signing out.